Welcome to Small Business Saturdays video series with your host and my husband.
And my dad, Aaron Montgomery.
Join the conversation.
Let's talk some business.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome into Small Business Saturdays. My name is Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me at oursuccessgroup.com. Welcome into the show today, where we are going to be talking about dealing with stress, right? For a lot of us, it's that time of year, and the stresses and strains and challenges of running a small business, and just constant challenges in the marketplace, and trying to continue to grow. I know that the OSG community is feeling the effects of, potentially things like inflation or still supply chain issues, and really just the growth cycle and the desire to reach their idea of success. So, we're all in that same. I heard this from somebody. We're not in the same boat, but we're all in the same ocean, right? And actually, according to a new national survey recently out of small business owners, 42% of small business owners said they have experienced burnout in the past month, and 24% of those also reported that they are currently experiencing burnout, and burnout is really just excessive stress, and that can affect our health, our relationships, and ultimately our business. So today I do want to discuss with you some techniques for dealing with stress, and really just explore how we can reframe stress and use it to our advantage. But first, before we do that, I would like to kind of share with you something here. Now, I know that we've got on the horizon here the new year potentially coming, and I've got a new program out there for those of you that are needing some help with goal setting. If you're an OSG member, you can reach out to me and we can just do this. But if you're not an OSG member and you'd like to still have some help with goal setting, there's a program inside of this deal here that you can check out at coachosg.com, or consultaaron.com takes you to the same place. But let's learn a little bit about that real quick.
Hello, small business owners. So are you tired of wasting your money on shiny objects or listening to those gurus tell you how they made their fortune, yet it doesn't seem to work for you? It's time to take your business to the next level.
My name's Aaron Montgomery, and we've got some awesome resources. Head over to coachosg.com to check it out. Just need 5 minutes of quick advice? Use the AME. Are you working on your business plan? Let me utilize my 40 years of experience and help you look for new perspectives. Having a hard time pricing your products? Are you out there on Facebook saying, what should I charge for this? Let me give you some ideas and help you find the right price. Are you tired of being a goal setter and never actually reaching your goals? Well, why don't you become a goal getter? Sign up here and we'll figure out how to set that goal correctly and then hold you accountable.
I take a lot of pride in supporting people just like you. I'm incredibly excited to support you, cheer you on, and lead you to your idea of success.
All right. Well, definitely go check that out and see if there's something over there that can help your business. Like I said, the Goal Getter program is something that I would highly recommend you checking out and seeing if that's something that could work for you. But let's say good morning to those folks tuning in on the live version this morning. We've got Nikki Ademkowitz tuning in. Good morning, Nikki. So great to see you. Hopefully you're doing well. And Mr. Curtis, hello, sir. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you guys so much for being here. All right, well, let's dive into this. Let's dive into what is stress first and foremost, right? Before we can deal with anything, we really have to define it, and not just at a cursory level, not just at a I know when I feel stressed, kind of the general, right? But what we need to do is define it at a real clear level, down to its root core, because then when we get down to defining it at its root core, then we can also take and deal with it at its root core, right? If we just deal with it at a cursory level, we're just always putting quote unquote band-aids on top of it, and it'll keep coming back. But if we can get down to its root and really understand it, then we can do things like actually get rid of it or really have great techniques to control it and not let stress control us, but instead use stress as a tool to help us grow and do more and be more. So also good morning to Becky. Thank you for being here, Becky. All right. So let's start there. What is stress? And here's, if you kind of think about it, right, and you break it down to its most simple form, stress simply occurs when something you care about is at risk, right? That's the basic form. That's the basic thing that happens when you're stressed. Stress simply occurs when something you care about is at risk. And really we need stress, right? What it does is it activates chemicals in our brain and we kind of end up channeling powers we didn't know we had, right? You get the adrenaline going and so there's a lot of actual benefits to the right amount of stress. Actually, we studies have shown that under the right amount of stress, humans actually perform way better, and we kind of get into the flow easier, and we do a lot of really good things when we're under the right amount of stress, just enough, right, to feel that need to really get after it. But the challenge is that we've put ourselves in this constant state of stress. We are constantly in, and I've always heard kind of fight or flight, but in learning and kind of reading and listening and trying to understand how our brain functions a little bit more. That's kind of been my kick here in the fourth quarter, is to really kind of try to understand how our brains function. There's really kind of four things that we do when we're stressed. We get in the fight, right? We've got to charge head on and get after it. The flight, right? Something happens and we just want to hide. We want to run away. And that, again, and none of these are right or wrong. We, and from what I understand, typically, depending on the situation, we might do things differently, but most of us have kind of a go-to, right? One of these go-tos. Freeze, right? The ostrich bury their head in the sand, just play dead. Hopefully nobody notices me. And then fawn, right? Which is just be demure and look to somebody else to tell us what to do. So you've got fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Right? And again, we're not labeling these things good or bad. What we're doing is we're saying, okay, let's understand this, because we do need the right balance of stress. But when we have too much stress, then that's what the problem is. We are constantly in that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode. And so we have to understand why, right? And then what we can do to better manage that and better balance that. Now, what I've noticed for myself personally, and maybe this is the same for you guys as well, is that a lot of it boils down to our mindset, especially when it comes to abundance, right? We simply stress because we feel like we don't have enough, right? We don't have enough resources. We don't have enough time. We don't have enough ability, right? We don't have enough money to buy the presents we want to buy. We don't have enough time to get all the work done that needs to be done and to entertain people. We don't have the ability to manage those difficult family relationships, right? We care about not letting our customers down. So we don't have enough ability to fulfill all of our commitments. We care about our business success. We don't have the ability to do it, right? We care about the happiness of our friends, family, employees, and everyone else. And therefore, we don't have the abundance. We don't have all the tools and resources and time and money and ability to be able to take care of all those things, to provide that happiness, to get to that level of success. But what I've also learned is that we have enough, right? We have exactly what we need when we need it. What happens is it doesn't show up on our timeline, right? Have you ever noticed when you get to that kind of dire need place, somehow things kind of magically occur or show up, or you get that job that, saves your business, right? This is why some business owners that really don't have a great plan or aren't, really kind of doing the business 101 things, manage to stay in business, because they get to that dire point and then something comes along to save them, because there is enough abundance out there. So the first tool I want to share with you guys, this is my very favorite meditation. I use this at the start of my day, especially when I'm feeling stressed, especially during the times of years when there is a lot to be stressed about potentially, right? We label these things as stressful. Just like for me, just going out there and being around the crowds of people in some of the events. It happens to be the holiday season for us right now, and being around a lot of people gives me a little bit of stress, right? I don't know what that is, but that's okay, right? But when we can feel that abundance, it's so interesting because it seems to lift. This is what happens for me. It kind of lifts that stress off of me because then I go, yeah, okay, right? Like I said, I want a little bit of stress. I want to be pushed. I want to do a little bit more than I thought I was capable of doing. But at the same time, I don't want to be so weighed down that I do push myself into flight or freeze, right? Where I just give up or I just walk away. Right. So let me share this with you. I'm going to put this onto the screen here and we will get that going for you. And then we'll listen to this together. It's about 9 minutes. So it's a little bit of time. So let's make a commitment. So what I first want to ask you guys to do, if you can, put yourself in a place where you can just kind of be away from it all, where you can kind of close your eyes, where you can kind of just go through this. If you're not in a place where you can do that, maybe you're driving or something like that, then that's totally fine. You just kind of get the overview here, but then do come back to this when you can, right? You'll be able to come back and watch this over at liveosg.com anytime that you want. And you can go through this in your own time to where you can do this. But if you have that ability right now, then just give yourself this gift of 10 minutes. I think you're going to really, really enjoy this. So with that being said, let me get this on screen and I will get myself out of the way. And here we go. This is Visualizing Abundance with John Gabriel.
Okay, so just sitting up straight, take a deep breath in, and a deep breath out and relax. Just closing your eyes, I'd like you to imagine, once again, that there's a ball of light in your navel, just circulating around, a beautiful, bright, healing ball of light that's circulating around your navel. That looks like a whirlpool, or a vortex, or a galaxy of light. It's just circulating around. And you're breathing in and out into this ball of light. So as you breathe in, this ball of light spins around, almost like a pinwheel. And as you breathe out, the ball of light spins around too. And you don't have to worry too much if you can see it or feel it. You can just imagine it. Just a beautiful ball of light. And as you're sitting there with this beautiful, bright, white ball of light in your navel, I'd like you to imagine that you're also in an ocean of beautiful, bright, white, healing light. It's infinite, as far as you can imagine. And this ocean can be whatever you want. It's just pure potential. It's pure life force vitality. So I'd like you to imagine that this beautiful ocean of energy is actually an ocean of abundance, an infinite ocean of pure abundance. So powerful, in fact, that just one drop of this ocean is more abundance than you could ever possibly imagine or envision in 10 lifetimes. Just one drop. More abundance than Bill Gates could ever imagine having, for example. Just one drop, and you're in an infinite ocean of it. And as you're sitting there with this ball of light in your navel and in this infinite ocean of abundance, I'd like you to imagine that all the pores of your skin open up. And all of that abundance energy comes rushing into your body, flooding every cell of your body with the energy of abundance. So it's rushing into the cells of your arms and your legs and your torso and your chest and your back and your neck and head, just rushing in, filling every cell of your body with the energy of success and abundance, however you conceive that to be. So you can imagine this energy filling your body and then overflowing out into the world and creating the success and the abundance that you'd like to have. So you can see it overflowing out into the world and creating your most perfect ideal business, for example, or profession, or transforming the world, or whatever your calling is, in ways that you could never possibly imagine. You can see abundance growing in your life in amazing ways. So this energy comes into your body. It charges every cell of your body with the energy of abundance, and then it manifests as a calling, as a purpose, as a passion. And you just allow that to be, and you see that calling, that passion welling up and overflowing out every cell in the body into the world. And you see yourself creating in ways that you never imagined possible. Building a career that's beyond successful. It's transforming the world. It's transforming your life. It has meaning and purpose exactly the way you want it to be. It fulfills you. And every day you're getting more and more successful in every way possible. Not just in your career, in your relationships, in your family, in your health. In every way that you can be successful, you can see yourself getting more and more successful in all of those ways. So today and tomorrow, and as the weeks go by, you can see yourself getting more and more successful. Your career is growing in ways you never possibly imagined. And in months from now, you can see yourself, after days and days of this abundance energy coming into your body and manifesting out, you can see yourself in 6 months from now, maybe, being so successful. Your relationships are beautiful. Your health and vitality is amazing. And the profession, the calling, the way you're showing up out in the world and the way you're expressing and creating in the world is so much more successful than you ever possibly imagined. And so you can see yourself every day getting more and more successful, doubling and tripling the success that you're having on a daily basis, exponentially. So that 6 months or a year from now, you're in your most ideal situation, beyond what you ever could have imagined. And you see where it's coming from. It's coming from this invisible energy that's nourishing every cell of your body, this ocean of energy that you've now connected to, and is nourishing every cell and then manifesting out into the world in exactly the way you'd like to manifest. And you can see yourself in 6 months or a year from now in your most perfect, ideal situation, successful beyond your wildest imagination. And just take a moment now to see that vision of you. The sky's the limit. There's nothing you can't create now that you're connected to this infinite ocean of abundance and success. So you can see yourself 6 months or a year from now in your most perfect, ideal situation. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to take that image of yourself, successful beyond your most wildest imagination, months down the road, this image of yourself in your most perfect, ideal life. I'd like you to look at that image, and I'd like you to imagine it, that it's a magnet that's pulling you to your future. So that this image of yourself that you just created with the power of your mind is now pulling you toward it, so that every decision you make between now and then, whether you turn left or you turn right, whether you do business with this person or that person, whether you choose to promote this product or that product, whatever it is that you choose to do, every single thing you do, you're doing because this version of yourself that you've just created, the most perfect, ideal version of yourself, is pulling you like a magnet, so that there's nothing that you need to do except relax and allow abundance to come to you, and allow yourself to be pulled and guided to your most perfect, ideal life. So in your own time and space, when you're ready, you can open your eyes knowing that you have just created, using the power of your mind, your most perfect, ideal life, and that you're now connected to an infinite ocean of abundance, and that every action you take from now till then, from the most smallest actions to the largest, you're taking because this most perfect, ideal version of yourself that you just created is guiding you toward abundance beyond your wildest dreams. And that abundance and success beyond your wildest imaginations is yours. And all you need to do is allow it to be, and surrender and allow yourself to be guided to your most perfect, ideal life. Okay, that's it, everyone. I hope you have an awesome, awesome day, and I'll speak to you again soon. Take care.
Okay. Well, those of you that are tuned in live, how you feeling now? If you gave yourself that gift of going through that meditation with Mr. Gabriel, and he's got a really interesting story. The guy was a stockbroker on the stock exchange and was always wanting more, but he was severely overweight and was basically killing himself with all the stress and anxiety. And he finally found this abundance. It found this ability to just, live abundantly. And it changed his life, as you saw there in the video. If you were watching the video version of this, if you're a podcast listener, John is very fit, and he is very successful from all accounts, and just with the slight change of mindset, it's pretty incredible. So those of you that are tuned in live, how you feeling now? What's the stress level? Where are you at? Could that be something that you could use to deal with stress? Because here's the other side of this, right? Is we all have abundance. It's just in our choices what kind of abundance that is. You can either choose to have an abundant amount of opportunity, or you can choose to have an abundant amount of problems, right? You can choose to have an abundant amount of debt, or you can choose to have an abundant amount of resources. And again, just making these choices right now does not go magic bullet. Tomorrow, everything's better. 5 minutes from now, everything's better. But once you start making those choices and let them build up on top of each other, right? Then sooner than you realize, you're going to wake up one morning and go, wow, I've been making the choices that I have an abundant amount of opportunity. I have an abundant amount of resources. I have an abundant amount of time. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. So there's no difference between successful people and if you're feeling like you're not successful, because you are a successful person. You just have to start making those choices. So I think starting with something like that can be such a powerful tool to get you going, or when you're feeling that down, to come back to that. I actually got that from a program called and I don't normally pronounce it correctly. My son always corrects me, but it's Gaia, Giai, Giai. It's got some great stuff on it, some great mindset and stuff. So in fact, John Gabriel, I found him through a program called the Abundance Code. So Jerry says it makes me feel that I do have opportunities. Good, Jerry. That's awesome. I love that. And knowing you, Jerry, you absolutely do. And again, everybody does. And just kind of coming to that choice, right? So, all right, so that's the first way to kind of deal with stress, right? And it seems kind of like, wow, that's almost just too simple, Aaron. All I have to do is choose. Well, kind of, yeah, but I know that's not easy, right? We are controlled no matter how logical we think we are. We are controlled by our emotions. Um, we are controlled by that subconscious brain, and we have to figure out a way to balance, to work together, to find that happy medium. And a lot of times it does come down to choosing that, but when we choose it, we're using our conscious brain, and our conscious brain does not always have control. So we have to put our bodies, we have to put our environments into ways that we can more easily make those choices, right? So one of the big things that a lot of people do and find to be very useful for them is just the self-care, right? Is just finding a way to, even when you don't feel like there's time, you're just giving yourself that 5 minutes, giving yourself that 15 minutes, giving yourself that 30 minutes, right? Go out for a walk, go move around, get up. I think setting an alarm 2 or 3 times a day just to remind you to get up, move, do something, right? Is really important. Kylene's got Rise and Shine Yoga. If you go to riseshine.yoga, that's 30 minutes. That's a 30-minute gift you can give yourself for $15 or less, right? $15 if you just want to come one time. Heck, you can even go there to riseshine.yoga and come to one for free and see if that's going to help you get movement, because yoga is about movement, but yoga is also about getting yourself in that place where you can control your decisions, where you can start making those choices better, right? And so it's such a valuable tool. So if you go to riseshine.yoga, you can check that out. But whatever it is for you, right? And then when we are in a place, right, if we're in a place where we're feeling a bit overwhelmed, where we are busy, typically our modus operandi, and I know I am this way too, and I have to remind myself of this, but our modus operandi is to get rid of the self-care stuff, to cut off everything for myself so I can do more for others, right? And so I can work harder, dig in deeper. And I want you to be able to do that. But the counterintuitive part is we actually can do more when we still give ourselves that opportunity for self-care, right? Where you still take that moment to go do something. So when the busier you are, I would say this, I would say, give yourself more rewards for doing more, right? And I'm not saying to slow down or to, oh, I got to just always be doing self-care all the time. Again, there's a balance between that too. I found a lot of people that have overwhelmed themselves so bad that they need so much self-care that then they start getting rid of the productivity and the momentum that they were building in all the work that they were doing. Right? So you've got to find that balance. But typically our way to deal with this stuff is to say, okay, I'm just going to forego all the self-care. I don't have time to show up for yoga class. I don't have time to get up and go walk around the block. I don't, right. And we've all said this. I know we have, and I know I do. In fact, I still do to this day, even with understanding all of these tools. So the process is very simple, but it's not easy, right? So just setting up these strategies. So I think starting off with something like a meditation to help you just get you to that space where you understand there's abundance so you can let go of some of that stress, right? Like he talked about the ocean and the bright light around you and that ocean of abundance that you can find yourself floating in. Sometimes I like to think of it like an egg, like a bright white egg that's just surrounding me, right? When I'm feeling attacked or I'm feeling overwhelmed, right? The even though today's modern humans are not very good at this, the kind of natural resting position for a human is squatted down with our butt towards the ground, our kind of knees up. And if you look at that shape from the side, it does make a kind of egg shape, right? That you can kind of fit down in an egg that way. And so I think that there's some protection there for us, right? When you're down in that space, you're kind of not as noticeable, and you can be protected. And so if you envision yourself being surrounded by that abundance and that bright light is kind of an armor, and then think about yourself standing up from that and exploding out of that, right? So that's the first way, just kind of trying to make those decisions, but then not forgetting the self-care stuff, right? The movement, getting to do those types of things that get you moving, that get get flushing out the bad toxins, eating right, drinking water, things like that. So that's the second thing, right? Start with a place where you know that you're in abundance. Secondly, get some movement. Third is the time management challenge, right? The more we have to do, the more stressed we are about our quote unquote time management. And anybody that's been listening to me for any length of time here knows that I truly believe that none of us actually have a time management problem. We have a priority management problem, right? We don't balance the right things at the right time because we don't have a really good plan. We don't have a really good process to easily make those decisions on the fly in the heat of the moment as to what's a priority, right? When Mr. Gabriel was talking about that inside of that meditation, where he said, when you've created that picture and you can just trust that whatever decisions you make, right, are pulling you towards that idea of success. But if you haven't done the work to figure out what that idea of success is, if you haven't planned out your week, if you don't have goals for your year, if you don't have the breakthrough goal that you're shooting for, you will struggle. There's just no way around it. I wish there was an easy, just be happy go lucky. And yes, there is some to that, but to be happy go lucky, your internal, your subconscious has to trust that you're making the right decisions. You have to be able to trust that gut instinct. And I know for a fact that most of the folks that I get to talk to and work with inside of our success group, they don't necessarily always trust themselves. Heck, I don't always necessarily trust my gut instincts. So understanding what your priorities are will allow you to trust those instincts. All right. So taking and making some time to have a plan, to have a structure, to get those priorities under control. So that's the third thing, is to really have clear priorities and goals so that then you can trust your instincts. And then the time is the time, right? Again, we all have the exact same 24 hours in the day. And just because maybe something didn't go well, or you feel after the fact like you maybe wasted time, the reality is you'll probably see down the road, and maybe it'll take a while, but I can't think of too many situations in my life where when I felt like I was trusting my instinct and I looked back, even after the fact, I was like, oh God, what a waste of time that was. I trusted my instinct, but it was a waste of time. But everything in that moment, if I look back in my life, all of those things somehow, some way changed your trajectory or put me in a path or put me in a place where I'm at today. Right. So when we trust our instincts, it's taking us in the right direction as long as we have that trust in it. So priority management, getting the priority set, and then just following those things. Right. So in the busy times, right? Okay, what do I got to do? Like, what do I just got to do to get to 5 o'clock? What do I got to do to get to the shipping cutoff? Okay, let's get that done. But then take that moment and go, okay, now how am I going to, be able to do more and be more? What needs to happen? Where can I find a little bit more efficiency right now? Right. And just be looking for those things. One of the other tools that I like to do, and I don't have it's not like a specific notebook that I carry around. In fact, I just grab scratch paper and write notes, but I get it back into my time management tool, my Asana that I use. I use Asana, but whatever works for you, some way to go, okay, here's all of the things that I need to work on, right? Like, here's a quick example. For those of you that are tuned in live, yesterday was the Two Regular Guys podcast Reggie Awards. And this is our 10th annual. And for 10 years now, I've been saying that, boy, it would be cool if we had like a drum roll when we announce the winners. And I just have never taken the time to do that. I never rose to the top. So now it's kind of become a joke, but it's one of those things where it's like, gosh, frustration, right? Stress. Oh, it's not as perfect as it could be. Well, you know what? I wrote it down. And will it happen next year? There's a chance. There's a chance it won't. It's okay, because if it's important, it'll happen. And but having that system, that way to kind of track things that aren't going well. Okay, this doesn't work, right? Heat press isn't functioning well. Well, let's make a note of that and make sure that we remedy that. What do we need to do to be more and live more and all those things. So that time management thing is the third thing. The fourth thing here, and this is my final thing for you guys. So if you guys have anything else, how do you guys that are tuned in live right now, how is it that you deal with stress? What are some of the tools and techniques that have been really important to you to manage and deal with stress here? So, and while you guys are typing that stuff in, I'm going to share with you the number 4 thing that I think is important for dealing with stress. And again, these things typically boil down. I can't tell you how many times I've had these light bulb moments of like, oh my gosh, wow, yes, this is so cool. This is going to be great. This works, right? Those things that really feel right. In hindsight, they're always just so freaking simple. And that becomes a little bit frustrating because it's so simple, but it's not easy to do, right? Because again, we're having that challenge between our subconscious brain and our conscious brain. And when we say, oh, yeah, all you have to do is make that choice, well, it's not always that easy, right? But it is simple. You just have to kind of be a little more counterintuitive about it and change your mindset, right? And that's why I've been so big. That's why our success group has been kind of built around this idea of changing our mindset. Though I know that I could have more members, we could, do more of the 10x type, sign up a whole bunch of people in our funnel. We could do a lot more of that and have a lot more monetary success with our success group if I changed and just said, oh, here's a marketing plan. Here's the nuts and bolts thing. But I know deep down in my soul that it's really just a mindset shift that most small business owners need. Yes. Do you need help with some of those things? 100%. But until you get to a point where you're able to kind of go, I know where I'm heading, I've got the right mindset, you're never going to be able to find the right people to help you with that. So we got to make that mindset shift. So the fourth thing, and I see a couple comments in here, so let's get to those real quick. Kylene's on the Our Success Group side here, but she said yoga, tapping, and laughing with family. Awesome. Love that. Those are great techniques. Tapping, I forgot about that. So thank you for sharing that. If you're not familiar with tapping, let me know. I can share some resources. The why or sleep. I like that, Curtis. Understanding your why, I believe, is probably what you're saying there. And then sleep. Sleep's also extremely important. And I'm terrible at that. So that's a really good reminder, Curtis. Thank you. Just find a way to get more sleep, right? Don't watch one less television show or whatever, right? And that's really my problem. I would love to just get rid of the television programs in our house, but I'm not the only one that lives here. So I have to figure out strategies for myself to be able to not get stuck on the television. Okay. Curtis and Kylene, thank you very much. All right. So my number 4 here, and again, very simple. Oh, there we go. Sorry. The why, going to the why, the YMCA. I love that. Yeah. Exercise. Perfect. Thank you, Curtis. Okay. The exercise. Okay. Back to it. Finally, right? I've been leaving you on this cliffhanger for number 4. Let stuff go that you cannot control. Let stuff go that you cannot control. Simple, right? How easy is that? Right? We can't control whether or not the supplier has inventory right now. We can't control immediately right now how the pricing works, if the shipping companies are going to actually get stuff there on time, things like that. We can't control any of that. We can't control if an employee doesn't show up, right? We can control how we respond to those events, right? We can say, okay, well, the shipping company's not doing a very good job, so I need to look for alternatives, or I need to next year set my deadlines a little bit earlier, right? All those things I can control. I can control my responses, but I can't actually control the shipping company. I can't actually control the vendor that I'm using, and if they don't have supplies, right? What I can control is, okay, I need to find more vendors, or I need to come up with a better way. I need to parse down my product offering. I need to change my process so that I'm not still reliant on these vendors to be next day like I got so accustomed to, right? I need to have a better relationship with them so I know ahead of time when they're going to be out of stock with something, right? And to make them understand that I need that information, right? So those things we can control, but the things we can't control, we have to let go of. And the reason for that, obviously, in just thinking about it, there's obviously a lot of good reasons to let go of things that we can't control. But the most important reason to let go of things that we can't control is once we let go of those, then we give ourselves space to handle, to manage, to make the choices, and to have our responses of the things we can control. But when we're so tied up in the things that we can't control, we don't have the ability, we don't have the space, we don't have the capacity to then make the right responses because our emotions have now taken over. We're pissed off, right? We're upset, we're scared, we're frustrated. All of those things get in the way of the responses that we ultimately need to have, right? And I'm not saying you shouldn't get frustrated if your vendor falls down on you. I'm not saying, there's many times that you've got to kind of hold them accountable, hold them to, right? Like I had a vendor recently who's actually also a friend of mine. So it makes that relationship a little bit more challenging because, you want to be mad at him, but he's also a friend. Right. And the situation was he didn't come through, and he had all the excuses, right? All the great excuses for why he didn't come through. And I said, hey, I get it, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that those things happened to you. But here's what I needed, and you didn't come through for me, man. That hurts, right? And I was hard on him. I held him accountable, right? So I'm not saying to just go, oh, it's okay, everything's fine in the world, right? But I was able to respond in such a way that I said, hey, man, I still care about you. Our relationship is important to me. My business is also important to me, right? Our business, my family's business, Kylene's business, all these things are very important to me. Therefore, I need you to hold your end of the bargain, man. Right. So, I had to make other decisions. And so I hope you can understand when I bought from one of your competitors because you didn't come through for me. Right. And so being able to make that response in such a way was important. So, that comes back to the number one principle and success principle. It comes back to the number one fundamental in the book that I'm writing called The Fundamentals of Business Success. Empower yourself, 100% responsibility, E plus R equals O, right? We can control the R's. We can't control the E's, which is the events. The R's are our responses. And when we control the responses, we can control the outcomes. But when we try to control the events, which we ultimately have no control over, we can never control our outcomes. So that's the number 4 way. And those are the 4 things that I've got for you guys. So Jerry says, I know this is wrong, but I find my mind trying to just avoid the situation. When I just jump in, I feel better. Okay. All right. Well, I wouldn't say that's wrong, Jerry. Actually, I think that's okay. Right. I think I can dig into that. I think I can understand that from a certain level. Right. And here's probably why, because Jerry, you're very talented. You're very smart. You know what you're doing, you know how to be successful. And so I think what's happening there is your subconscious is just saying, hey, right. It's the kind of the joke almost, right? Here, hold my beer. Let me do this. Right. That's kind of the thing. I think it's maybe your subconscious just saying, and mind avoiding it's just saying, no, I'm just going to jump in. We got this. Right. We got this. So I can see that. Hopefully that is maybe resonates with you a little bit, Jerry, but thank you so much for sharing that. What else do you guys have? Anything else that you guys do to deal with stress? We're at about the 45 minute mark here. So let me just recap, and then I'm going to let you guys get back to your Saturday here. I appreciate you guys spending some time with me here this morning, and looking forward to next week. Actually, we're going to be talking about the 13 habits to cultivate. And I like the word cultivate because I do believe that success is a cycle. And so we've got to kind of plant, we've got to kind of then care, plan, really, and then we have to perform. We actually have to grow and do those things. So when we talk about cultivating, right, that's the growth. So if we can start cultivating these characteristics, it's going to make success a little bit easier. So that's what we're going to be talking about next week. But let me just quickly to close out here, unless you guys have anything else for me, those of you that are tuned into the live version. And if you're somebody that's listening to the podcast and you do want to check out the live version, we are most Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Sometimes schedules get a little bit funky, but most mornings at 9 a.m. on Saturday live. And if you just go to liveosg.com, you can tune into our YouTube channel there, and make sure while you're on our YouTube channel that you like and subscribe and do all of that fun stuff to be able to catch other stuff that we put out there on the YouTube channel. In fact, we're going to start playing Two Regular Guys over there, and just really hopefully bringing you as much great free information as we can over there at YouTube. So, all right, recapping today, how to deal with stress. These are the techniques and tools that I try to use. And again, like I said, it's simple, but not easy. So I'm not making any claims to being perfect at this. But I know that I'm a work in progress, and I feel like I'm doing a good job, and starting to trust my instincts and all that fun stuff. So here they are. Number one is to just start from a place of abundance. Realize that we've got abundance, right? We went through a meditation. It's about a 10-minute guided meditation. Great way to start your day. So starting with abundance, and realizing that we always have abundance. It just becomes our choice as to what kind of abundance that is. We can choose to have an abundance of problems, right? If we're always blaming, complaining, making excuses, commiserating with our fellow friends on the Facebook groups about how bad things are, right? I get it. I know we need to have that, right? That's a little bit soothing. But when it gets excessive, when it's all that you do, you will find that you have an abundance of those things to complain about, right? The universe wants to reward you with whatever you're focused on. So finding abundance in the things that are important to you, an abundance of love, an abundance of resources, an abundance of time, making choices to say, I have abundance, and then being attracted to that ideal person. It is such a cool way to get your day started, and really just to kind of, you find yourself like overly stressed, take 10 minutes. There you go. There's your quick, like 10-minute meditation that you can do. Right. And meditation is such an interesting word. I think we've kind of equated it with this woo-woo-y. I've got to get in I think it's called lotus, right? Where you kind of got your legs crossed and doing all that. I mean, I sit at my desk, I close my eyes. Sometimes I'll be just put it on my phone, and even like I was listening to that the other day when I was shipping. I was standing here. I use my studio as my shipping station right now too. I was standing here. Kylene's making a truck ton of ornaments, and I'm shipping, and it's going really well. But I was feeling a little bit stressed, and so I just played it in the background, and I use that meditation. So that's number one, the meditation. Number two is don't forego the self-care. Make time for it. Give yourself more rewards for doing more. That movement. Curtis had mentioned going to the YMCA, making sure you get enough sleep. Kylene talked about yoga and tapping and laughing with families, right? Giving yourself those rewards for doing more. Number three is just understanding time management, or in reality, priority management. What can you realistically do, but at the same time, you can do and be more. It's just a matter of making those things that are going to move the needle the most a priority. And you can't do that without having a clear vision, without taking some time to plan, without having goals set up in the proper way, right? I've learned a ton in the last 4 or 5 years about how to set goals. And I'd love to be able to share that with you, right? So go to consultaaron.com and I can help you set that up if you're not an OSG member. If you're an OSG member, just reach out to me. Just shoot me an email and we'll set up a space on Volley that we can do the same thing that I'm going to be doing with those folks that are not OSG members on how to become a goal getter, right? There's a whole process and we can do that. Right. And then lastly, just let go of the stuff you cannot control. I think we hit that pretty well, but just letting go of the stuff that you cannot control so you have the space and grace to be able to handle the things you can control, which are your responses. All right. So that is what I have for you all today. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you spending some time with me here on this Saturday morning. Remember, next Saturday, we'll be talking about the 13 habits to cultivate. And looking forward to having that conversation with you next week. And then we'll have a couple weeks off for the end of the year. For those of you listening to the podcast version, there will be no weeks off. We come every week on the podcast version. It's just a little bit delayed from when the live version happens. So if you have not checked out a live version, again, go to liveosg.com. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your Saturday, and we will talk to you soon.